Hello guys, today we're doing LeetCode question 13, Roman to integer. The question is an easy question and is Roman numerals are represented by 7 different symbols I, B, X, L, C, D and M. As you can see here. For example, 2 is written as II in Roman numeral. Just 2 ones added together. 12 is written as XII, which is simply X plus II, so 10 plus 2. The number 27 is written as XXVII, which is simply 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 2. Roman numerals are usually written largest to smallest from left to right. However, the numeral for 4 is not III. Instead, the number for 4 is written as IV, because the 1 is before the 5. We subtract it, making 4 the same. The same principle applies to the number 9, which is written as IX. There are 6 instances where subtraction is included. I can be placed before V, 5, and X, 10 to make 4 and 9. I can be placed before L, 50, and C, 100 to make 40 and 90. X can be placed before D, 500, and M, 100 to make 400 and 900. Given a Roman numeral, convert it to an integer. So example 1, S is equal to III, output is 3, because I is equal to 3. Input S is equal to LVIII, output is 58 because L is 50, V is 5, and I's are 3. Example 3, S is MCM XCIV, output is 1994. M is equal to 1000, CM is equal to 900, XC is equal to 90, and IV is equal to 4. So the way we'll do this is by creating an object to map the values to each other. You can also use a map. And we'll loop through the string and we'll check if the current value is smaller than the next value. If so, we know we have to subtract it. Otherwise, we add the value. Let me show you how we'll do it here. So as you can see, we have our object, which is already mapped key and value. The keys are the Roman numerals and the value are the modern numerals. We have our string and we're going to create a value to hold our current count. So we also loop through it starting from I, which is our current value, and our next value, something right here. We create 2 also variables called our current and our next. So our current, which is I, is currently M here, and our next is currently N. So we check, sorry, not N, C. So we're going to check, is the next value, so C, bigger than our current value, so M. So we know that M is 1000 and C is 100. So we know M is bigger, therefore we add it to our value. So we add 1000. Then we increment I. I is now 1. Remove the red pointer. So current is now C. And I plus 1 is M. So we check, is C the current smaller than next? C is 100 and next is 1000. So we know that C is smaller than next. So we remove 100 from our value. So now our value is 900. Then we increment I. I is now 2. 2 is equal to M. And I plus 1, 3 is equal to X. So is M 1000 smaller than X, which is 10? No. So we increment our value by 1000. So now we're on 1900. And then we increment I. So I is now 3. So M is equal to X. So current is equal to X and next is equal to C. So we check, is X smaller than C? Yes, X is 10 and C is 100. So we decrement our value by 10, which is now 1890. Now we increment I again. I is now C. And I plus 1. So I is now, 4. I, which is C. Current is C and next is I. So we check, is current smaller than I? Current is 100 Next is I, which is 1. No, it's not. So we increment by 100. So we're now at 1990 for our value. And we increment I again. I is now 5. So our current value is I. And our next value is V. So we check. Is our current value smaller than our next value? Our current value is 1 and our next value is 5. Yes, it is. So we decrement our value by 1. So now we're at 1989. Now, we increment I is 6. So current is equal to V. And our current plus 1 we'll just set to 0 by default, as it doesn't exist. So is V, which is equal to 5, smaller than 0? Yes. So we increment, sorry, no, it's not. So we increment our value by 5. So now we're at 1994. And we return our value. So that is our result. Let me show you how it's done in code. So the first thing we do is we create our map or our object to store our keys and values to translate. So we know I is equal to 1. We know V is equal to 5. We know X is equal to 10. We know L is equal to 50. We know C is equal to 100. We know D is equal to 500. And we know M is equal to 1000. Now we create our value which represents our current translation of the Roman numerals. Then we loop through a string for each character in the string. So for let I, as long as I is smaller than s.length, then we increment. Then we get our current variable, which is equal to the current letter in the string, and our next variable, which is equal to next letter in the string, plus 1. Then we check if our current is smaller than our next, then we decrement our value by our current. The reason being is, as you can see here, I and V is equal to 4. But that's 1 and 5. So if we was to add both values, it will be 6. But if we delete the value, I, so 0 minus I will be minus 1, plus 5 on our next value is equal to 4. So if we delete our first value, which is smaller, and delete our value, which is next, which is bigger, we get the correct end result. So that's why if it's smaller, then the next we decrement it. Else if it's bigger, we increment it. So value plus or equals current. And then we return our value. And let's see if we pass this. If it passes. Okay. Yeah, sorry. We have to translate the variables. So we can't set an object here to a string. We have to return an integer, not a string. And right now we were just getting the actual value as a string, but now we're translating it to the value in the object. So if we get I here, we translate it to 1. So now we know if 1 is bigger than what, 5 or whatever. So now let's run. It passes, let's submit. Perfect. Well, it's normally faster than that, but as you can see, time complexity here is O of n, as we're looping through the whole string, and the space complexity is O1, as we're storing single variables. And as you can see, it's changed. It was better space complexity before, etc. Time complexity, but yeah, thanks for watching.